My name is Misha Donohoe. I'm the artist in residence at the Kluane Research Station. It's on the shores of Kluane, and we can see Bechal Dal behind me, the mountain. It's been a real privilege to spend a couple of weeks here at the research station and within the lands of the Kluane, Champagne-Asiac and White River First Nations. I am so full of gratitude to both these host communities as well as Parks Canada and the Yukon Arts Centre and the Arctic Institute of North America for making this time possible. So for the last 2 weeks I've been able to take over the teaching room, which is just to my left here. I've been able to spread out canvases, I've been able to think really differently about the art that I'm making and just explore open-ended questions with the art that I make. And that has been such a joy and so liberating, especially given the context and the beauty of the place that I'm in. My background is in evolution biology. I trained as a botanical illustrator with the Royal Botanic Gardens Edinburgh, so a lot of technical proficiency in illustrating for science, research and publications. And so this opportunity to create art without an economic agenda, without a client in mind, and certainly without a scientific outcome in mind, has been wonderful to see the whole in every individual flower and plant and insect and bird, and just notice how they all connect, because at this point in my practice it's the connection between things, between people, between communities and land that is the most rewarding pursuit. That's what I've been doing. So when I had all of these paint swatches back in the studio, I kind of noticed that they look a lot like paint swatches that you might get in the hardware store. And it ties into this idea of fragments in the landscape. When we do scientific research in a landscape like this, it is immense and vast, and the history is so deep, and our own evolutionary history as humans is so deep. We're reading the landscape in all of these ways that have evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. And so in taking these fragmentary impressions of a landscape, well, actually they build together and they show a lot of what's missing in actuality when we put them together. So the paint swatches have been a little bit of that process for me, quite an abstracted way of looking at colour in the landscape and then linking that to some of the drawings that I'm doing and linking that to some of the realizations that I'm having as a person in this beautiful place. To have space to think about things. What if those pressures weren't there? How would I think differently about things if I could just have a break? And so this residency, perhaps like many art residencies, are designed to alleviate some of those pressures and allow the creativity to reflect a pure human experience. And it is perhaps not realistic in some ways. I will still go back and continue these works amongst my daily life, and that is a beautiful and necessary component of being a working artist. Having said that, suspending those pressures for a moment allows a really interesting, creative and open-ended way of thinking about art and what it means. And actually, I would say the freedom to let it change me, to have the luxury of being in a place where I can notice myself changing day by day as a result of the art that I'm making and how it's informing me is a luxury. I actually had like I don't know if you call it like an artistic crisis of conscience or something like that, where I was like, there are mountains and the sun is so beautiful and the sunsets are so amazing and I should be a landscape painter. And I tried it and it was a great exercise for me. But in essence, I can't be someone different than who I am, which is quite precise and exacting in my desire to lose myself almost in a meditative state of really coming to terms with what I'm seeing. But part of it also is just knowing that the reason I think people love and gravitate towards art is because all of those different artists bring a way of seeing the world, and I've been able to just be really comfortable with my small offering in that great expanse of art making in the north.